Hi everybody and welcome to another chapter of Matilda. Now yesterday was quite a long chapter, today is not so long. And we were talking yesterday all about Miss Honey. But we learnt about another character as well. We learnt a little bit about the Trunchbull. So let's see what our chapter's called today. Our chapter today is called The Trunchbull. So we know her name is Miss Trunchbull and people call her The Trunchbull. So let's see if we can find a bit more about this character. Miss Honey is a nice character, but Miss Trunchbull is a really interesting character. So she is a baddie, that's what we know so far. But sometimes the bad characters are the most interesting ones. So today's chapter might be really fun. So the Trunchbull. Now again, there's no picture on the first one, so I've put a picture for you to see of the Trunchbull. I don't think Quentin Blake drew that one though. In the interval, Miss Honey, so in between lessons, Miss Honey left the classroom and headed straight for the headmistress's study. She felt wildly excited, just like she had just met a small girl who possessed, or seemed to her, quite extraordinary qualities of brilliance. There had not been time yet to find out exactly how brilliant the child was, but Miss Honey learnt enough to realise that something had to be done about it as soon as possible. It would be ridiculous to leave a child like that stuck in the bottom form. So what they're saying is because she's in year one, which means she's at the bottom, she's going to work her way up every year, is Miss Honey thinks it's ridiculous to leave her in the bottom. Normally Miss Honey was terrified of the headmistress and she kept well away from her, but at this moment she was ready to take on anybody. She knocked on the door and of the dreaded private study. "Enter!" boomed a deep and dangerous voice of Miss Trunchbull. Miss Honey went in. Now most head teachers are chosen because they possess a number of fine qualities. They understand the children, they have the children's best interests at heart, they are sympathetic, and they are fair, and they are deeply interested in education. Miss Trunchbull possessed none of these qualities, and however she got her present job was a mystery. She was above all the most formidable female. She had once been a famous athlete, and if ever now the muscles were still clearly evident. You could see them in her bull neck, her big shoulders, her thick arms, and in the sinew of her wrists, and in her powerful legs. Look at her. You got the feeling that this was someone who could bend iron bars and tear telephone directories in half. Her face, I'm afraid, was neither a thing of beauty nor joy forever. She had an obstinate chin, a cruel mouth, small arrogant eyes, and as for her clothes, they were, well, to say the least, extremely odd. She had a brown cotton smock, which was like a dress, which was pinched in around the waist, and she had a wide leather belt. The belt was fastened on the front with an enormous silver buckle. Her massive thighs, which emerged from out of the smock, were encased in a pair of extraordinary breeches. The bottle green in colour and made of coarse twill. These breeches reached just below her knees, and from there or down on she sported green stockings with turn-ups, which displayed her calf muscles to perfection. On her feet she wore flat-heeled brown brogues with leather flaps. She looked, in short, more like a rather eccentric and bloodthirsty follower of staghounds than a headmistress of a nice school for children. So this is excellent. Roald Dahl has really described her. If we couldn't see the picture, I think you would probably see something quite similar to that. So it says, in my highlighter, it says that she was an athlete, and you can still see that. So she has a bull neck, which means she has a very wide neck. So normally people like wrestlers and rugby players have big necks, but she has a very big neck. She has big shoulders, so really big muscly shoulders, and she has thick arms. You can see here from the picture that her arms, they're not fat, they're thick, so it means that they're really muscly. And she's got powerful legs. So it means that, like she said, she's very athletic. So she's big, but she's muscly big. She's strong big. So look, it also says here, and this is the bit I really like description. Looking at her, you got the feeling it was someone who could bend iron bars. So then what they're saying is she's so strong. If she got an iron bar, she would bend it. And then when they talk about her face, they talk about each of the different aspects of her face. But what they say is overall, it was not a thing of beauty or joy. So what they're saying is she's not beautiful and it's not nice to look at her face. So she is strong, she's muscly, and she's not particularly very nice to look at. She looks a little bit more like a strong man than a woman, doesn't she? She always wears the same clothes. And they're again, the clothes aren't very nice to look at, but they're practical. And we haven't yet learned about what this is in her hand, but that doesn't look very nice either. When Miss Honey entered the study, Miss Trunchbull was standing beside her huge desk with a look of scowling impatience on her face. "Yes, Miss Honey," she said. "What is it that you want? You're looking very flushed and flustered this morning. What's the matter with you? Haven't one of those little stinkers been flicking a spitball at you?" "No, headmistress, nothing like that." "Well, what is it then? Get on with it." "I'm a busy woman." As she spoke, she reached out and she poured herself a glass of water from the jug that was always on her desk. "There's a little girl in my class called Matilda Wormwood," Miss Honey began. "That's the daughter of the man who owns Wormwood Motors in the village," Miss Trunchbull barked. She hardly ever spoke in a normal voice. She either barked or shouted. So this again is a really nice description. She doesn't speak normally. She either barks or she shouted, which goes with her character of her being mean and strong. Okay, she's the opposite to Miss Honey. Miss Honey is very nice and calm and she speaks in a low, soft voice. Miss Trunchbull barks all the time and shouts. "An excellent person, Wormwood," she went on. "I was there only yesterday. He sold me a car, almost new. Only done 10,000 miles. Previous owner was an old lady who took it out once a year at most. A terrific bargain. Yes, I like Wormwood. A real pillar of our society. He told me he had a daughter, was a bad lot though. He said to watch her. He said if anything bad ever happened in school, it was certain to be his daughter who did it. I haven't met the little brat yet. She'll know about it when I do. Her father said she's a real wart." So, Mrs. Trunchbull is judging Matilda from what her father has said. Miss Trunchbull thinks she's a wart and a brat, which are not very nice things at all. Okay, so she's judging it from what someone else has said, and that's definitely something you should never do. Okay, you shouldn't ever make an opinion of something until you have met them. "Oh no, headmistress, that can't be right," Miss Honey cried. "Oh yes, Miss Honey, it darn well is right. In fact, now I come to think of it, I bet she has been the one who's put the stink bug under my desk first thing this morning. The place stank like a sewer. Of course it was her. I shall have her for that if you see if I don't. What's she look like? Nasty little worm, I'll be bound. I have discovered, Miss Honey, during my long career as a teacher, that a bad girl is far more dangerous creature than a bad boy. What's more, they're much harder to squish." So Miss Trunchbull thinks that Matilda is responsible for putting a stink bomb under her desk in the morning, which we know that Matilda wouldn't do something like that. Squashing a bad girl is like trying to squash a blue bottle. You bang it down on a darn thing and it isn't there. Nasty, dirty things little girls are. Glad I was never one. "Oh, but you must have been little girl once, headmistress. Surely you were." "Not for long, anyway," the Trunchbull barked, grinning, "because I was a woman very quickly." "She's completely off her rocker," Miss Honey told herself. She's balmy as a bedbug. Miss Honey stood resolutely in front of the headmistress. For once she was going to be browbeaten. She was not going to be browbeaten, which means she's not going to be defeated. I must tell you, headmistress, she said, you were completely mistaken about Matilda putting a stink bomb under your desk. I am never mistaken, Miss Honey. But, headmistress, the child only arrived in school this morning and came straight to the classroom. Don't argue with me, for heaven's sake, woman. This little brute, Matilda, or whatever her name is, has a stink bomb in my study. There's no doubt about it. Thank you for suggesting it. But I didn't suggest it, headmistress. Of course you did. Now what is it you want, Miss Honey? Why are you wasting my time? I came to talk about Matilda, headmistress. I have extraordinary things to report about that child. May I please tell you what happened in class just now? I suppose she set fire to your skirt or scorched your knickers, Miss Trunchbull snorted. No, no, Miss Honey cried out. Matilda is a genius. As the mention of the word, Miss Trunchbull's face turned purple, and her whole body seemed to swell up like a bullfrog. A genius, she shouted. What piffle is this you're talking about, madam? You must be out of your mind. I have her father's word for it. That child is a gangster. Her father is wrong, headmistress. Don't be a twerp, Miss Honey. Have you met the little beast for only half an hour? Her father has known her all her life. So the two of them are starting to almost have like a little argument. So Miss Honey is saying she's really, really clever, that she is a genius. And that was the exact word she used in the text. There we go, I've highlighted it. And Miss Trunchbull is saying that she's not. And that she's saying that her father knows her best because he's known her longer. And Miss Trunchbull is saying she's a little beast. So they're two very opposites, which are the two characters are very opposite as well. Let's carry on. But Miss Honey was determined to have her say, and now she began to describe some of the amazing things Matilda had done with arithmetic. So she's learnt a few tables by heart, has she? Oh, sorry. So she's learnt a few tables by heart, has she? Miss Trunchbull barked. My dear woman, that doesn't make her a genius, it makes her a parrot. But headmistress, she can read. So Mrs. Trunchbull is very stubborn, which means that she doesn't want to believe what Miss Honey said. She thinks, no, I'm right, I know, and that's it, end of. Whereas Miss Honey is trying to convince Miss Trunchbull that actually Matilda is a genius. I think this is a very extraordinary case because normally we learn that Miss Honey doesn't go into the Trunchbull's office, but now she's trying really hard to convince her. It must be because she truly believes that Matilda is a genius. So can I, Miss Trunchbull snapped. It's my opinion, Miss Honey said, that Matilda should be taken out of my form and placed immediately in the top form with the 11-year-olds. Ha! Snorted Miss Trunchbull. So you want to get rid of her, do you? So you can't handle her? So now you want to unload her onto the wretched Miss Plimsoll in the top form where she will cause even more chaos. No, no, cried Miss Honey, that's not my reason at all. Oh, yes, it is, shouted Miss Trunchbull. I can see right through your little plot, madam. My answer is no. Matilda stays where she is, and it's up to you to make sure she behaves herself. But, headmistress, please. Not another word, shouted Trunchbull, and in any case I have one rule in the school. The children remain in their own age groups, regardless of their ability. Great Scott, I'm not having a 5-year-old brigade sitting with the senior school girls and boys in the top form. Whoever's heard of such a thing? Miss Honey stood there helpless before this great red-necked giant. There was a lot more she would like to have said, but she knew it was useless. Then she said softly, very well then, it's up to you, headmistress. This is a great description here. What they're saying is Miss Honey stood there helpless. So it means that Miss Honey knows she can do no more. But this is an excellent description. She stood there before the great red-necked giant. So what they're saying is that compared to Miss Honey, who's obviously, we know, is quite small and she's very thin and petite, Miss Trunchbull is very big and she's very tall. She's like, and they've described her as a great red-necked giant. So it almost means that her neck is really big, and maybe it's going a bit of a funny colour because she's been shouting a lot. So that's a really good comparison. They're complete opposites. You've got Miss Honey, who's lovely and kind and clever, who's small and petite, and you've got Trunchbull, who's a big character, who is not very nice and shouts, and actually the children and the other teachers don't like her, which is really good opposites when you're creating a story. "You're damn right it's up to me," Miss Trunchbull bellowed. "And don't forget, madame, we are dealing with a little viper who put a stink bomb under my desk." "She did not do that, headmistress." "Of course she did," Trunchbull boomed. "And I will tell you that I wish to the heavens I was still allowed to use the birch and the belt as I did in the good old days. I've had roasted Matilda's bottom for her so she couldn't have sat down for a month." Miss Honey turned and walked out of the study, feeling depressed, but by no means deflated. "I am going to do something about this child," she told herself. "I don't know what it will be, but I shall find a way to help her in the end." So let me just go over something, because I think you might not understand what this bit is. Here, Trunchbull is saying, "I tell you what, I wish to the heavens that I was still allowed to use the birch and the belt as I did in the good old days." So, in the olden days, now even before I was a child, much before that, maybe when your grandparents were at school, even before that actually, what they used to do in Victorian times, and a little bit after that, when children were badly behaved, they weren't moved down the chart like you guys were. They used to get what was called the birch, which is a piece of wood, so it's like a stick, and they used to hit them with it, and it was called the cane. So if you were badly behaved, you might get called to the headmistress's office or called to the front of your class, and you might put your hand out and the teacher would hit you with a stick. Or the other thing they said there is a belt, and again, maybe if you didn't have a stick, maybe the teachers would use their belt and would hit you on the hand, or in this case it said she would have hit roasted Matilda's bottom. So it means she would hit her so hard that maybe her bottom would have been burnt. So now obviously we don't do that nowadays because it is not very nice, and we would never want to hurt anybody. But that's what Miss Trunchbull, when she was at school, that's what they used to do. And Miss Trunchbull's saying she wishes she could do that now, which actually really shows us what a horrible, unkind character she is. Right, now that was the end of our chapter, but let's have a think. So at the end of the chapter, Miss Honey, it said she was disappointed when she walked away, so maybe she might have had her head down, but it said she wasn't deflated. So she has a plan in place. She is going to help Matilda. She doesn't know how, but she says she's going to help Matilda. How do you think she could help Matilda? What do you think she could do? I think that maybe she'll give her some different work to the other children. What do you think? How else could she help her? Now remember, Matilda's very clever, but what else does Matilda need? Matilda doesn't get at home, she doesn't really get anybody being nice to her or paying attention to her or really giving her any love. So what else can Miss Honey do to make Matilda feel better? Ooh, why don't you write it in the comments? And I can't wait to see your answers. I hope you enjoyed today's chapter. I thought it was really good. I'm trying to work on my Miss Trunchbull's voice. Like I said, they're complete opposite, Miss Trunchbull's and Miss Honey. So when you're reading a story, if you have a really evil character or bad character, you can use a deep voice for it. And then when you're doing a nice character like Miss Honey, because she's very quiet and calm, use a soft voice to talk. Okay? Right, well, we'll see you tomorrow for another chapter of Matilda. Have a nice day. Bye.